Welcome to a community update from the Department of Senior Affairs. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Today we have two very special guests with us, and they're both members of Los Volcanes Senior Center, and this is a show centered about the Department of Senior Affairs. Mary Beth Elgohari and Marlene Naranjo, they have quite a story to tell us. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you. I think one of the, Mary Beth, this is quite an event. We've talked about this, I think, the last 10 times I've seen you ladies, and I've seen you quite a bit in the last 2 months. So
yes.
I got the opportunity to cover Los Volcanes Senior Center, and it's always a pleasure to see everybody there, but particularly you two. And Mary Beth, you got an opening salvo for us. Go ahead.
Okay, the reason, of course, that we're here is because our story, I think, is really important from many angles, from many sides. And I want you to know that at the Senior Center, when I was dancing, I had cardiac arrest and collapsed on the floor. I was dead. I was dead.
Mary Beth, can you tell us, you got the date here, and you know what, it's March. You want to tell us what date it was?
Oh, yeah, it was March 21st, 2013.
And here we are, it's September, so you have
5
a lot.
months later.
Right, you have a lot of things to tell us about that,
Yeah.
and we're going to jump right into it if we could. Mary Beth, I think a lot of people, yourself, Marlene, and I were talking about this, that a lot of people may not know what is cardiac arrest. That's a very important thing. A lot of people may think they know, but they probably really don't. Can you tell us?
Yeah, cardiac arrest is when the heart stops beating, and unless there is an intervention quickly, then you die and you're dead, and that's the end of it. And that was the case for me had she not stepped in.
I think one of the things, again, there's so much more to that. You want to give us just a little percentage?
Yeah, I will.
And that's the thing that just amazed me about this story.
Yes, I'd like to. Sudden cardiac arrest in these United States accounts for there's over 300,000 people that die every year from cardiac arrest. And of those 300,000, 75 to 80% of the persons that have cardiac arrest is due to ventricular fibrillation. 92% of the persons that have it, that are out of hospital settings, die within minutes of collapsing.
Wow. And again, you brought up something here, and I had to spell it out for myself. What is ventricular fibrillation? What is that? I mean, again, some of these things, people are going to say, I know what cardiac arrest is, I know what these things are. They probably don't, unless they've gone through what you did. Can you explain what that is?
I want to try to say in as few words as I can that it occurs because of an erratic heart rate, which causes the heart to beat so rapidly or slowly. It depends. Some have a heart rate that's really high, some have a heart rate that's low, some have an abnormal heart rate. And when this occurs, the erratic impulse is caused to the ventricular, it's the part of the heart, the ventricles. It causes them to quiver, and they become useless and can no longer pump blood.
And I think you had some
body.
You had some other things here as well. By Sanders intervened by giving CPR and using the AED. Can you want to explain that before we go to the next question? You had a little bit more about that. When
bystanders intervene by giving CPR and using the AED before the EMSs arrive, 4 out of 10 victims will survive.
And that's pretty good. Because if they don't, and we'll get into Marlene's story later, which, again, this is an amazing story. It's in our department. We're just very thrilled that you're sharing it with us.
I was only one of 8% that survived.
1 of
8% that survived.
That's an incredible.
Yeah.
Like I said, you just look fantastic. We're so glad that you're back. Your health is back. Mary Beth, again, the people are going to have an idea of what they think this is, and a lot of people know what it is. I just took a course on this in July. What is CPR?
Yeah, it's a cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and it's used to restore spontaneous circulation and breathing. That's what it's used for.
And you know the outcome. Do you have to? You want to talk about the outcome for patients?
Yeah, the outcome for patients out of hospital settings has been very, very poor for over decades in our country. But there are a few states, New Mexico included, who have started doing what they call the new CPR, which they're doing training for the out of hospital people who are dealing with this, with people with cardiac arrest.
Mm-hmm.
And the odds are a little better now because of them offering the CPR, 45-minute CPR class and use of AED.
And we had talked about, and we'll get into that a little bit later, about how different the CPR is as far as it used to be breathing and checking the pulse, and they were wasting a lot of time in doing that. Things change. I think a lot of people were used to the 2 breaths and the compressions, and it's a little bit different now. So, and Marlene's got certainly some things to say about what happened. Marlene.
Okay, I would like to say a few things about Project Heart Start. Dr. Barry Ramos started Project Heart Start so more people could learn CPR. The difference between the LCPR and the compressions-only CPR is when breath and checking for a pulse were included. Individuals would perform CPR 30% of the time. After this technique was simplified, it went to 70%. So as you can see, there's quite a difference from 30% to 70%. Time was wasted with the breath and checking for the pulse.
Go ahead.
Okay. Also included in this is the use of the AED.
Okay, and I think I just want to ask you this about the change, and when did this change take place? Which I think when I took it recently, I'd done CPR with the city for years, classes, and they were always one way, and then it just, how long ago did these change? About 5 years ago, I would say? I don't know if I'm right on that
I
or
don't
not.
know exactly when it's been a while, but I don't know when Dr. Barry Ramos introduced that change. I really don't know how long it's been.
Okay, but a definite change that paid some dividends, I'm sure.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. As you can see, like I mentioned, from 30% to 70%, that's quite an increase. And
Oh,
that's
man.
and that is because of the CPR compressions only.
Okay, not the breaths.
Not the breaths,
Okay,
just the compressions.
Okay, and man, as you mentioned, 30 to 70.
30 to 70%.
Wow.
That's quite a bit.
It sure is. Mary
Yes.
See,
Beth?
that's the difference between what I was talking about when, for decades, people didn't have that out of hospital. The people that were giving CPR or should have given it didn't have it. They were not trained, so the people die because nobody is there to intervene. There's nobody there to intervene because they don't have the training. That's the reason Dr. Barry Ramos started this program, was so that there would be better percentages of survival because of it.
Wow, and
45-minute training is,
and
it's free.
What a program. We'll get into more details of that in a little bit, but Marlene, what is the AED? I mean, a lot of people, again, I just took that course, and it's probably still fresh in your mind. What is it?
The AED is the automated external defibrillator, and what that does, it shocks the heart back to beating.
And I think the other thing is, too, that's very important. People get bogged down by terms. They'll hear that automated external defibrillator and think, oh,
I can't do it.
yes.
It intimidates. Yeah, I think
The name?
the
'Cause the machine
automated
itself
the
is
automated
easy, but
external
Right.
defibrillator is, and that within itself, I think, intimidates a lot of people. But within that class that I took, the AED, it's easy to learn. It's really easy and simple to learn. You follow the instructions on the device, and it tells you exactly what to do, step by step. It tells you exactly what to do.
She said
when
it
using
shouted it out to her.
It does. It shouted. It tells you exactly what to do.
And you used that day, and we'll get into the incident in a
Yes.
minute, but I'm sorry, you said it shattered?
Shouted it out
shouted.
to her.
Oh,
what
wow.
to do. It was
Yeah.
not a very subtle, very quiet. It was very loud.
Yes.
So that,
That's, and I can only imagine, because like I said, we just got the training on that, but I think one of the things you just said, you really almost can't make a mistake on that machine, and that's important for
Yes.
people to know. That way they're not scared, or what do I
Yes.
do, and you really almost
Yes.
can't make a mistake on that
You
thing.
really, really can't, because it tells you exactly what to do. It tells you to continue compressions. It tells you step by step exactly what to do. An important note on the AED that I would like to mention is know where the AED is in your office or place of business. Know exactly where it is. And if it's locked, have more than 2 people with a key. Again, if it's locked, at least have 2 people with a key.
I think one of the things that you write about that, the precious moments, we'll talk about how people react in crisis situations, and sometimes it's not always the best. And but one of the things that was so important, and I'm a firm believer in a higher power. Someone was watching out that day because you just had the course 2 weeks before.
2 weeks prior.
If you hadn't been there, and thank God you were. And so you weren't scared about it. You say here, and I'll let you talk about it. You go ahead.
Okay, 2 weeks before this happened, I had completed the course in compressions only CPR at Los Volcanes Senior Center. The class is easy and simple to learn. The length of the class is approximately 45 minutes, but within those 45 minutes, it gives you the tools that you need to save a life and prevent heart or brain damage.
Again, 45 minutes
45
we're talking about.
minutes.
And I think the other thing that you said, Mary Beth, free. It's a free course.
Absolutely, it's free, and to anyone that, all they have to do is find where they're giving the Project Heart Start, the training, and anybody can sign up and get it. They've done marvelously. They've got children in schools now. They've got different communities all over the state now that are getting trained in that CPR.
I guess the other question I want to ask is, something like this is so important. It's free, and you mentioned it's 45 minutes. How's the word getting out to the communities? Do you have any idea how? I know Dr. Ramos started this, and he's a prominent figure on Channel 7 every day about health issues. How are they saturating the state with this kind of? Really, the nation. I'm sure people are doing this all around the United States.
No, they are not.
Really?
No,
I'm sure they will be pretty
there's
soon.
only a few states. New Mexico is one of them. Arizona maybe another one, and that's about it in this region.
Wow, in the Southwest. So for right now. Now, something like this, you
Yes.
would think is going to take off. People are hungry for information anyway.
Yes.
So that's
If they
interesting.
knew the percentages of survival compared to those that do not get any kind of CPR or anything, if they knew those percentages, I think they would be jumping on it to learn, because the people that are affected are the ones that are out of the hospital. I'm not talking about once you're in the hospital. I'm talking about your heart, your husband, your wife, your grandfather, your grandmother, anybody over 40 years for that matter, is more likely to have cardiac arrest in this nation. And so the odds of your survival are so important to know that unless you have the training, and you get to the person right away, immediately, because death occurs. Cardiac arrest, you're dead. And unless there is some intervention, immediate intervention, chances are you're not going to survive. And that's why 92% of the 300,000 do not.
Wow, 92%.
92% do not.
Yeah, I don't think we can stress that enough.
Yes.
I always tell you, I tease you all the time when I see there's a reason you're still here.
Yes.
I always tease you, it's good natured.
Yes.
I hope you take it like that. But
no, I do.
Yeah,
I do. As a matter of fact, one of the people that was standing there watching was a friend, and this is when you're talking about another intervention that's of a higher power, is that she actually observed angels.
Wow, yeah, incredible.
On either side of us.
Incredible. That's like I said, I've heard this story about 5 or 6 times, and I still don't get tired of it. I think we mentioned this, Marlene. And I've stressed it, but I think one more time doesn't hurt. Is there a cost to the course?
No, there is no cost involved. There is no cost involved. It's free. The course is free, and anyone can attend.
And you had some other things I think you wanted to say about that.
I do want to say that I sincerely believe that good CPR training and quick thinking is what gave my friend Mary Beth a second chance at life. I truly believe that.
And you know what? There, like you said, like we mentioned, there's some intervention, in a lot of places. And
Yes,
boy,
definitely.
anyway, I think people are chomping here. What can you tell us the story?
Okay.
Because I've heard it and I'd love it and I want to hear it again.
Okay. Barry and Beth and I were at a dance at Los Volcanes Senior Center. And we had both gotten up to dance. And within a few seconds, I turned around. This is a few seconds. I turned around, and Mary Beth had collapsed on the floor. I immediately, I can't stress that enough, I immediately reacted. I immediately reacted with what I had learned in class. I told someone to, I screamed out, and I told someone to call 911, and I started compressions hard and fast, just how I was taught in class. And of course, my adrenaline surged, but yet I still had that confidence, because 2 weeks prior to this, I had taken the class. So I was very confident in what I was doing. After several minutes, Robert, a staff member, came to help me with chest compressions, and the AED was brought to me. I followed the directions on the device to deliver the shock that jolted Mary Beth's heart back to breathing. Again, on the AED, it tells you exactly what to do step by step, so you really can't go wrong on using the AED. We continued compressions. Robert and I continued compressions, and by the time the paramedics had arrived, Mary Beth was breathing on her own.
You know, it's, yeah, and anything to add to that, either one of you? I mean, Mary Beth, I know you said some of that you kind of forgot about, you know, which is understandable.
Yeah, I actually was, when they got me to the emergency room, and now this is all what people tell me, because from the time I collapsed and my heart stopped, and even after I was revived, I have no memory until I was, I mean, even through the emergency room, they said I was talking. I was even making jokes. I was doing all of this stuff. And let me just mention, too, that when I arrived in the emergency room, they did not have to perform any extraordinary, anything extraordinary on me. And that's very unusual also. Usually they have to restart your heart, they have to give you different chemicals to restart and to keep it going and stuff like this. And none of that occurred with me, none of it, because she had done such a good job. And the emergency room doctor even asked her, he said, "I want to know who gave CPR." She goes, "Me." And he said, "Tell me exactly what you did."
Right.
And she goes, "Well,"
yeah.
she's still thinking, I'm in trouble now. And after she told him exactly what she just described to you, he goes, "You did everything just right." And then he looked at me, and of course I don't remember it, but he told me that I was going to owe her forever, you know, meals and whatever.
Lunch and dinner for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So, because they didn't have to do anything extraordinary, they began running tests on me to see why I had, you know, had my heart stop. Now, I had prior to this, I knew I had really high cholesterol. I knew this. And they had they did a nuclear stress test on me, and I passed it. So we were kind of in the middle of, maybe we're going to do something, maybe we're not. You know, the next thing would have been a catheterization, you know, to go up into the heart and see what was going on there. And so one of the tests that they ran on me was the catheterization. They went up into my heart, and they found that I had the 4 main arteries that were blocked. And they didn't do surgery right away because I had some swelling on the brain from anoxia, which is non-breath, no breathing. You know, I mean, even though they were giving me compressions and I was getting oxygen through the blood, it was still, I had anoxia. And so they waited 6 days more, and then they gave me quadruple bypass surgery. And I just have to say that without her quick thinking and all of her heart and soul, which they also told me that she pleaded with me while she was working on me, "Please don't leave me."
Wow, you know.
And so her heart and soul fought death, and she saved me, and that's why I'm here today.
There was an angel there. There
Yes.
sure was.
Yes.
It was Marlene.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
I mean,
small and compact,
yes,
but yes, she was.
Yes,
she was.
oh man, what a story.
Because she put so much into it. It was more than just the act of CPR. It was total heart and soul.
Yeah, and gosh, again, thank God, thank God that you had that training, Marlene,
Yeah,
2 weeks earlier. And
yes.
you know, when you talked about the adrenaline surge, and I think we've all
Yes.
had adrenaline surges
Yes.
before. I used to get those athletically, and they
Yeah.
only lasted
Yes.
a little
Yeah.
bit. But
Yes.
you know, in a crisis situation, I've seen crisis situations not like that, but gosh, you know, talk about that a little bit. That adrenaline surge, because we talked about how some people didn't you know, we're not blaming anyone, because
No,
some
of
people
course not. Of
in a
course
crisis
not.
situation,
People go into shock.
right? And can you explain what you felt like?
Well, when I saw Mary Beth collapse, and I did get an adrenaline surge, but yet I was so confident in what I was doing, and that was because 2 weeks prior to that I had taken the course. So I had no hesitation. I mean, I don't even know how to explain something like this. Like, I stepped out of my body and I did what had to be done, quick and fast and immediately. And this is why I say, when something like this happens, hesitation cannot play a factor, because it's a matter of life. You cannot hesitate. You have to act immediately and quick.
And you're saying that I was hoping, you know, the other thing is, let me ask you a couple of series here, because we got about 5 or 7 minutes left.
Okay.
You know, how did you know to continue compressions? That was one of the things I wanted, and you have your answer right here. And it's
Okay.
important that people hear that.
Okay, because the A&D instructed me to do so. Like I said, the A&D tells you exactly what to do, step by step by step. Once she was shocked and you step away, the AED tells you continue compressions. And so it tells you,
Wow.
it tells you exactly what
Yeah.
to do. So therefore we continued.
And we talked
continued
about
compressions.
something, you know, that's easy to use, and you know, really
It-
speaks to you.
Yes, it does. It speaks to you, but I think it intimidates people, but it is really easy to use because it guides you. It
One of
guides
the
you.
cute things I have to say is, while she was doing compressions, after she'd already brought me back and it said continue compressions, because the heart was still having to stabilize and the rhythm was still having to, you know, be correct again. So by the time the EMDs or the EMSs,
Paramedics.
or they keep changing their names,
The names, yeah.
arrived, they literally had to pull her off of me. Ma'am, we're here now, ma'am.
Yeah,
It's
they did.
okay. You can stop now. And you want to tell them the story about in the ambulance? This is how tenacious she is. Okay. Go ahead, tell them.
Okay. Well,
There's some hesitation.
guess I'll have to tell the story.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Well, because it's cute.
we were in the ambulance, and Mary Beth was in the back, and she was just not yelling, but she was.
I was fighting a
She
little
was fighting and breathing and stuff. And I did tell the ambulance driver, I said, oh my gosh, I said, is she dying? Is she dying? And he said, no. He said, she's going into shock. This is usually something what happens when somebody has a cardiac arrest. They go into shock. So again, my adrenaline, I was still very, my adrenaline was so high. I turned around and I told the driver, I said, you know, I says, you need to step on it. You need to drive faster. We need to get there quickly. I was still on a high. And he turned around and told me very aggressively, he says, ma'am, he said, I've been doing this job for 18 years, and you need to settle down, and I'm going to get you to the hospital, and we're going to get there safely. So, but
Right answer. Under pressure,
yeah,
right answer.
right
But you know, like you said, when you have those
She
kind
calmed
of,
down a little bit.
yeah,
after that.
the adrenaline's still going. I mean,
Yes.
nobody could blame you for that. I'm sure
Yeah.
the driver understood. That's your best friend. Anybody would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, there are a couple things left that you wanted to talk about. You said, you know, take the class, do not hesitate. But the third thing there that you wanted to talk about.
Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is assist. When you're doing chest compressions, it takes a lot of strength. And because of the strength involved, it is so much easier when there's 2 people doing chest compressions. When I was doing chest compressions, you have to be strong. You have to do it hard and fast.
Tell them how hard and how fast. Isn't it 100 compressions a minute?
Yeah, something like that, 100
Yeah.
compressions. And it's hard and fast, hard and fast, hard and fast. And it takes a lot of strength. And it's thank God I had Robert, a staff member of the center, come and help me to assist it. Because it's so much easier to do it when there's 2 people. Of course you could do it with 1, but it just makes life so much easier when there's 2 of us.
Well, like, you know, Mary
And we
Beth,
were fortunate to have him there helping us.
Yeah, Mary Beth said you're small and compact, but you know, you got a lot of strength in a lot of places you needed
Yeah.
in that day for sure. If you're
It was
doing all
her-
those compressions,
it was
I
her
can,
heart as
I can
well,
just,
yeah.
oh yeah, and
Yeah.
you know, And I think the best thing that I can say is that you're both active members of Los Volcanes. I know you're into watercoloring. I know that you're into pickleball. And, you know, thank God you're taking advantage of our fabulous activities
and
that
I've
we have
gone
at our
back,
department.
and I'm doing a lot of stuff now, pickleball, dancing.
Yeah, pickleball. We're back
Oh,
to
you're
our
back
dancing.
dancing.
We're back to
I'm sorry I didn't
dancing.
ask that earlier.
We're back
Back to the Thursday dancing.
Yeah.
Kono, you know, just sort of kind of, how do you say, what is the word? Despacio?
Despacio with ease?
Yeah.
Despacio, yeah.
So that
back.
anybody, she was watching me the first time that I went back to dance, which was several months later, right? And I was still, not 100%. So when somebody would come and ask me to dance, well, I said, well, no, I can't really, right? And she would say, okay, if you dance really slow and you're really careful. So this guy asked me to dance, and he said, okay, I'll be real good about this. And we started to dance, and she's sitting over in the chairs. The very first thing she did when she saw me, the first time dancing after all of this happened, is she started to cry. And then she got up and ran out of the room. And I told her after that, it was like a mother watching their child for the first time go to a prom or take their first walk or whatever. And it was like, oh, there goes my baby.
And it all happened in our Department of Senior Affairs.
Yes.
So, ladies, Mary Beth Elgohare, I hope I said that right. Elgohare. Thank you, Marlene Naranjo. What a great story. Thank you so much talking about Project Hard Start, which is the main reason we're here. But thank you, thanks to God that you still have your best friend with you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ed.
You bet. Thank you for the
Thank you, Ed.
Department of Senior Affairs. I'm Ed Nunez.